morning. Good morning. We're a little bit late today. It's okay. 9:05. Welcome to the Will Marotti Show. Your host, Will Marotti, your common sense evangelist. Hope that you're having a good morning. I'm not. I had a difficult morning, but that's okay. We're here. AT is off. DA at the board today, managing the program. Good morning. Good morning, Priscilla. Good morning, Greg, Luke, Donna T, Judy. Good morning. Judy P. Elaine P. Good morning. Folks coming in the chat room. Got a good show for you today. We're going to have David X. Sullivan on, hopefully at 9:15. He's stuck in traffic somewhere. And then we're going to have good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Eggles. Mark, good morning. Jeff, good morning. Doreen Z, good morning. Yes, good morning. Well, brand new day. I'm glad you say that, Doreen. It's a brand new day. God's mercies are new and tender each day. Patricia, good morning. Let's see. Judy, good morning. Deborah, good. Oh, Debbie C. Hey, good morning, Deb. Nice to see you, or nice to know that you're watching. Jan, good morning. Jen, good morning. Excuse me. I feel like I'm having a rebound from the cold that was lingering for 3 weeks. I don't know if that's true or possible, but tea and honey. All right, let's pray. And then I have an announcement to make, and then we're going to start the show in proper. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we thank you. We praise you, God, for another day of life, another day to enjoy the creation you made for us, another day to enjoy the blessings that you're so kind to share with us, God. We're thankful for that. I want to thank you for this audience. As they're tuning in now, as they're jumping in the chat room, as they're maybe listening or watching later in the day or listening as a podcast, whatever, however that they're hearing and digesting the program, I thank you for them, and I praise you for them, God. I pray you bless their lives with health, with peace, with comfort for those that need it, with anyone struggling financially, give them some hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel, indeed. And thank you most of all for your love, your grace, your mercy, which we don't deserve, your patience, most importantly, your forgiveness. It gives us all a second chance at a new beginning. And so we thank you for that. And we're grateful for all the men and women who serve in the military. Bless, protect them today, comfort their families. Thank you for all of our veterans. We love our veterans. Bless them today and their families. All of our first responders, firefighters, Border Patrol, ICE people, and then, of course, law enforcement across the board. We're so grateful for those folks. Bless and protect everyone today. Comfort their families as they're separated. And we look for a new era of law and order, the way it was intended to be by our founding fathers, and we're looking forward to that. Help us today, God, to do the best we can, to be informative, inspirational, honor you. And again, thank you for this magnificent audience. We love them. We thank you. We praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Can I get an amen out there, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, boy, so much going on in the world. Let me get to my announcement first. And it's not a big announcement. It's a minor announcement, but one that you'll be interested in because you're here. You listen, you watch, yeah. Diana, good morning. Dennis, good morning. Gigi, Luke. Yep. Didn't get Juan Soto, though, Luke. I thought the Red Sox might pick up Juan Soto, but went to the Mets. I mean, what a history the Mets have of getting great players and doing nothing with them. I mean, honestly, I've been laughing at the memes. Here's Juan Soto in 15 years. He gained like 60 pounds. He can barely move. Yeah, I mean, the AI is unbelievable what they can do now. And so another great player going to the New York Met graveyard of careers. That's wonderful. He'd be a Hall of Famer anywhere else. Not now. I mean, you gotta love it though, really. Hey, one of my our wonderful elders, Juan Rivera, is a Mets fan, so God bless you, Juan. All right. Here's the thing: you are lucky, right? And you are blessed. You call your friends, your relatives, associates. You are tuned into the last podcast of the year. made the decision that we're going to take a well-needed, well-deserved holiday break through Christmas and New Year's. And I want to pray. I want to pray about the show. I want to pray about the timing of it. Should we move to the afternoon? And I want to pray about topics and just the overall format itself. I just feel like we need kind of a restart. And I'm so grateful for all you guys watching and listening. Thank you. If you're watching on YouTube, or please subscribe, or Facebook, X, Rumble. Thank you so much for watching, listening on Apple, listening on Spotify. Our numbers have steadily grown. And I guess in anybody else's world, that would be a wonderful thing. But I just cannot be content with where we're at. And I want to grow it, and I want to see it impact more people, reach more people. And we got to figure out how to do that. And so I'm going to take the next 2 weeks, and I'm just going to pray about it. I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to get I'm going to read. I'm going to get some insight from other folks that are doing it and doing it well, and just see where we can go, because I don't think it's worth doing something just for the sake of doing it. I think if you're going to do it, you need to do it well. You need to do it the best you possibly can. And again, I'm grateful for all you guys. You guys have stayed faithful with us. You've been here. Good morning, Rob. Um, I do. I love you guys. But I was on the radio yesterday for TIC, and so many calls came in, and very kind, gracious calls. People said they missed me and stuff. There's got to be some way that we can leverage that radio audience, because I still have a great radio audience, even though I'm not on radio anymore. There's got to be a way we can leverage that audience and help bring them in. So, hey, Shelby, Lori's here. Good morning. So that's what I'll talk about. Again, I'm not down. I'm not discouraged, but we've been running a crazy pace at New Life Church all year to celebrate our 25th anniversary. Christmas Eve coming up. It's the Super Bowl for us, Christmas and Easter. And by the way, please, please, please come to our Christmas Eve service. If you don't already attend the church, please come. And 3 o'clock, 4:30. If you have more tickets yet, you can come to the concert. Concert's Sunday night, Cloverton. It's going to be great. You get all that information, Christmas Eve, Cloverton, all that information is available on newlifechurchct.com, newlifechurchct.com. And whatever platform you're on, please like, comment, share. Like, comment, share. Now, I will keep you posted via social media, so you're going to have to look. I don't know where you're at, but I will post on X. I will post on Facebook. I will post on Instagram what my radio schedule is going to be like from now to the end of the year. Got 4 or 5 dates that I'm going to be doing. I think next Thursday, next Friday, one more day. I think the 23rd before Christmas, December 27th, Friday. I'm going to be on filling in for Tom Shattuck from 11 to 2. So I'm going to be on the air quite a bit over the next couple weeks, and yeah. Well, we could do that, Dennis, but we're going to just shut it down. We're just going to shut it down. Because it's a lot, believe it or not, it's a commitment. You got you're saying have people filling for the podcast. Well, it's a commitment. You got to drive here. You got to be prepared. You got to do an hour on the air. So it's really travel time, drive time, preparation. It's really like 2 hours. And pastors are super busy this time of year. So I'm not gonna extend any of my relationships like that, because first of all, they've got their churches to tend to, as do I. And it'll be good. It'll be good for you guys for us to take a break. Hopefully you'll miss us and want to come back. That's what we're hoping for. Okay. Just checking no. Okay. All right. We're gonna look for David X. Sullivan. He was stuck in traffic on his way to his office, I believe. So lots to talk about. Here's a great question that's on Business Insider this morning. Excuse me. Plus, I want to get healthy. I want to take a couple weeks to get healthy. I don't know what that's. I'm going to have to go back to the doctor maybe. The Assad government has fallen in Syria, but the U.S. is still striking targets across Syria. Why is that? Well, I'll tell you very simply. There are still ISIS strongholds in Syria. And U.S. military, this again from Business Insider, the U.S. military carried out extensive airstrikes in Syria since the Assad regime collapsed over the weekend. American, Israeli, and Turkish forces have all been involved in bombing targets over Syria the past few days. Why? Because they're trying to get rid of ISIS. ISIS reconstituted after Trump wiped them out in, I don't know, 4 months, whatever it was. They'll reconstitute it as you imagine it would under the weak Biden administration. And so the United States and allies are continuing going to go after ISIS, the Islamic State, and get them put to bed. And that's why these continued military strikes are happening. F-15 jet fighters, B-52 bombers, A-10 Warthogs, all attacking ISIS targets in central Syria. And let's eliminate these folks once and for all. That would be wonderful if we could do that. I think anyway. So that's going on. I don't want to get into anything legal because I want to talk to David about those things. Let me just pull up my folder here, see what else I have. So much stuff to talk about. Let me put aside this legal stuff for now. Interesting happenings with the murderer, and the left is unbelievable. Let me just read this. Let me read this article because it's shocking to me. Listen, I would take no pleasure at all if I take no pleasure at all when anyone's injured. I don't even take pleasure to know that ISIS soldiers are being killed, but I understand that it seems to be a necessary mission because they don't quit. They won't stop hurting people and mutilating people and killing people. So that's an issue. But it seems like some on the left are somewhat gleeful about this murder of the United Healthcare CEO. And that's just wrong. I mean, that shows you how cold these people have ice water. They are not Christians. No Christian in their right mind would take joy over the death of another person. I don't know what they are, but this is from an interesting article. The tolerant left, in quotations, the tolerant left sure does like assassinations. Daniel, just give me a signal when you get David up there, please. The manifesto recovered from the alleged shooter of the he did it. United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson says that these parasites had it coming. I do apologize for any strife and trauma, but it had to be done. This is music to the ears of the left. Social media people are gloating over the killing. It's crazy. The Atlantic dismissed mockery and disdain for the cold-blooded murder as widespread fury at a broken system. All right, so the healthcare system needs repair, insurance needs repair, but you're gonna be happy that a father of two, who happens to be the CEO of the company, was murdered in cold blood. That's a good thing. Former Washington Post reporter Taylor Lorenz reposted an article about how Blue Cross Blue Shield no longer covers anesthesia for some full-length surgeries, adding, and people wonder why we want these executives dead. Listen, you know what? It's wrong. It's wrong. Saturday Night Live poked a joke at it, said it's really something about America that this guy was murdered in cold blood. And the two main reactions were, yeah, healthcare stinks, and girl, that shooter hot. Unbelievable. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, that's brokenness in people. How do you possibly take pleasure in the hurt and pain of another person? I mean, man, maybe the guy wasn't a great guy. Maybe he was a bit of a I don't know, but I know he's a father of two kids, and I guarantee his two kids are heartbroken today that their dad was killed right before Christmas. This will taint their Christmas for the rest of their lives, because there is no such thing as closure. Closure is an illusion, and what you have is you have a wound that will never in this life fully heal. It could be healed in heaven. There's no scars in heaven. That's what they say. But I think it's despicable that people would take pleasure over the fact that this CEO of a healthcare company, you can say what you want about healthcare, but that they would take some morbid sense of pleasure in him being murdered in cold blood. I don't know. Anyway, joining us now, and I'm so happy that he is for the last podcast of the year. He has got an amazing resume. 30 years a federal prosecutor. He was uh, uh, assistant U.S. attorney in the District of Connecticut. Just teaches law. He's a partner now at McCarter English, a very prestigious law firm. And he answered a very late call from me to come on the show this morning. So I want to welcome David X. Sullivan. David, welcome back, my friend.
Well, thank you, Will. You know I love you because I have to tell you we've had power outages. I left my house at 7:30 and I'm 5 minutes at 10 after 9. I'm running into the office because of back traffic. Nothing could be worse. But I'm so glad to be with you.
But you're here. You made it.
Yes.
That's good. We're grateful for that. I was just lamenting over the insanity of the left, that some people are actually they're taking pleasure in the murder of this CEO, this healthcare person. I mean, listen, healthcare is broken, insurance is broken. There's no question about it. But I don't know how people take pleasure in the when evil is falls on another person. What's your take on that?
Well, it really is frightening. You would see already on social media, foolish people saying foolish things, but you're also seeing people who, Washington Post, reporters, an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, in effect supporting Luigi Mangione. And listen, you might not like healthcare the way it exists right now. I think there are a lot of people who are very frustrated with it, but that doesn't mean that Brian Thompson's life should have been taken. And in the manner it was, in a very cowardly, moment, very early morning in New York City. And I do think that the issue of healthcare, which disappeared during the last 4 years of the Biden administration, is going to reemerge.
Yes.
And it will be 8 years after the Obama administration has concluded. And again, the crown jewel of the Obama administration was Obamacare, which they struck the name and it became the Affordable Care Act again. So I think this is an issue because when you look at President Trump coming in, what you're looking at is the Democrats have lost the American public. They lose it on the economy. They lose it on jobs. They lose it on how safe we are in the world, how safe we are on our streets. So everybody can agree that healthcare is very frustrating and very costly. And so this may be their ticket back to the big house in 4 years. But I do think it's very disturbing, as you said earlier, that people are taking some type of delight or reveling. I saw one individual asking President Biden as one of his last acts to pardon Luigi. And
get out! Oh
no, I've seen that twice actually in the last 12 hours.
Oh my gosh,
that's very scary and very ignorant.
And what's sad about? I mean, it's all sad, but apparently this young man came out of a family of means. The family's done very well. He did well. He went to fine schools, graduated top of his class. What a waste of a life, on his perspective. What a waste of a life. I'll tell you what would have happened in the Old West, though, because he shot him in the back, not once but twice. He'd be hanging from a rope somewhere in Oklahoma if this was the Old West. And I feel like that's the attitude people should take. They ought to be enraged that this coward lie in waiting, shot him in the back. And apparently planned it out well. He was able to evade police for 5 days, and it was a customer. And the Hamburglar caught the murderer. It was a employee or a customer that first spotted him in McDonald's. I mean, I don't get where we are as a society, David. It's very very sad to me that people.
Well, we used to hang horse thieves. And, when you talk about what would have been done to Luigi Mangione, think about Daniel Penny standing up and defending himself and others and having to go through this very protracted trial publicly. God knows what the expense was. And then people outside with a bullhorn thereafter as a mob, like a lynch mob without the noose, basically telling him, "You're not wanted in New York. Watch your back and don't come here. You're not welcome." And, people publicly threatening. Luigi was found with $10,000 of currency.
Yeah.
8,000 of it was U.S. currency, 2,000 was foreign currency, and his passport. And that's very interesting. He is a smart fellow. He did have 2 degrees from UPenn, and he was valedictorian of his prep school class somewhere
Yeah.
down in Towson, Maryland. But,
Yeah.
he was not going to be using a credit card. I don't think Holidayburg, Pennsylvania was his final destination. So if he was planning on leaving the country, if you have $10,000 of U.S. Of currency of
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
amount, you have to declare it. It's called a
Right.
currency transaction report at the
Right.
time you're leaving the country. He would have spent at least probably 500 to 1,000 of that. So he wouldn't have had to declare the money. He had a to-do list with respect to the shooting. He had a manifesto, and he still had the gun. And it's incredible. He's a bright guy, but he did some very foolish things aside from the actual act itself. So it's interesting. I did see after we spoke last night on Jesse Waters, they were interviewing one of his former roommates. I guess he was in Hawaii or something, but this fella had a book club with him. And it was the manifesto came up from the Unabomber, but it was the roommate's suggestion, he said, to actually read that book in their book club. What kind of book club is that? That's pretty damn scary.
Wow. Wow. Well, I mean, and the reports have come out a lot now that while in Hawaii, he was injured in a surfing accident and really hurt his back badly. I guess the procedure didn't go well. Said his spine was out of alignment by half an inch. That's a football field in chiropractic world. Um, and they had an X-ray that was published of these plate and screws that produced by. And some reports it seemed like after that was done, he kind of went off the deep end. Now, I don't know if there's pain. Obviously, there's pain, discomfort involved. But oh my gosh, I just and you bring up that contrast, which is so smart because here's Daniel Penny trying to serve his fellow people, trying to protect people, trying to keep this unfortunate 30-year-old arrested 40-time drug addict at bay. Some question as to whether or not the headlock actually even killed him. They had conflicting medical reports, and yet you got these protesters outside, wanting to lynch him, and here he was doing a good thing, good Samaritan kind of thing, and yet now you get this guy that does an absolutely act of evil. And I don't know if you, but I think when something like this happens, this kind of evil, and you've been around stuff like this. I mean, you've been in the law so long. I think this kind of evil can only be explained by one of two things. I can either it's mental illness or it's demonic oppression. I don't know what else can drive people, Sandy Hook. I don't know what else can drive people to do that level of atrocity, unless they're mentally ill or demonic or both. I don't know. What's your take on that, David?
Well, you make an excellent point. I would also throw in there substance abuse. Some of the substances are so powerful now. If you combine substance abuse, like perhaps in the subway situation, with mental illness, you've got a deadly cocktail there. But we have spent so much money. You talk about healthcare and other things. We have spent so much money in the past 4 years on people who've come into this country illegally. $1 billion, I believe, going to Africa and the needs of people there. And there are needy people everywhere. But in this country, we need to take care of the American people. And
Yes.
since the 1960s, the number of mental health facilities and availability for treatment for people in our country has dropped significantly. There were 4 stabbings in New York, and it started, I believe, around the United Nations a few weeks ago. There was at least 1 fatality then. We have to address our own mental health needs in this country,
Sure.
and there are more
Sure.
people suffering now than not. And
Ever.
hopefully, Robert Kennedy Jr.
Hmm.
will continue to put that in his agenda moving forward in the next administration.
Yeah. I mean, there were 3 murders in New Haven in the last month. I mean,
We
our
just
own
talked
state.
about that. Yes.
And here there's murders every weekend. There's murders every week, every weekend in Chicago. Hardly ever discussed. Hardly ever talked about. This whole ghost gun thing. The anti-gun people. They'll be hanging off the trees and screaming from the rooftops about this one once it gets going. But Yeah, I don't know. I feel so badly for the CEO's family.
Brian Thompson,
Um,
yes.
he's got two children, I think two boys. This is going to taint their Christmas for the rest of their lives. There's nothing, because I don't believe closure exists. I think you manage the tragedy, you manage the pain better over time as they get older, as they get more mature, they will. But boy, I'll tell you, the pain that this kid has caused is unbelievable. And I don't imagine why we wouldn't have, I've been a long proponent of the death penalty in certain crimes. And Connecticut, as you well know, Connecticut had a very vigorous death penalty law. It was impossible to get the wrong guy because there were so many hurdles that you had to cross to be able to even get the death penalty. I think this guy should get the death penalty, but in New York, it's not going to happen. But
Well, before we even get to the death penalty issue, what we have to do universally with our criminal justice system is, reinstill faith in it. And
well,
you do that by continuity.
yes.
Alvin Bragg, for example,
Oh,
we've gone into extensively the prosecution of Donald Trump, taking that and making it 34 counts and statutes of limitations being run. But there are so many people that aren't being prosecuted in New York, in Manhattan right now. When I saw the Bullhorn fellow
yeah,
on television, essentially
yeah,
threatening Daniel Penny,
yeah,
he should have been arrested. And then I thought about it and thought, well, it's a turnstile
yeah.
in New York. You could arrest him, process him, he'll be out, and that
Revolving
case
door.
will
Yep.
disappear. You have to show the rule of law and apply it, and you have to apply it fairly and uniformly. You have to do all those things, and we're
One
not.
last question, David, and we're gonna have to go. Is there any possibility Alvin Bragg is going to get his hand on this case from New York for the murder?
I believe it's in his jurisdiction. Yes, it'll
Oh,
be his office, and
oh,
again, he has to be reelected. And listen, New York is New York. It's
yeah,
not a place I personally would like to be in right now.
no,
And
no.
how do you protect yourself in New York City these days? How does
It's
anyone?
impossible to carry a gun. You can't. Most people can't carry a gun in New York, and some you can't even carry mace in some places. It's just I don't know. It's. I'm so glad Donald Trump was reelected. I,
Um,
I feel like people have some glimmer of hope now that things might start getting straightened out. So
well, I will say the problems have not gone away, but we know with Donald Trump's reelection, what we're
yeah,
going to see are solutions to problems that have
yeah,
only flourished in the last four
yes,
years. So I too
that's
am
true.
very optimistic with the next 4 years
Good.
with Donald Trump being reelected.
Well,
I think we should all be encouraged.
I don't know that I'll see you or talk to you before this. I want to say Merry Christmas now while I got you.
Well,
And
thank you.
thank you for your support. We're going to come back in 2025 bigger, better, and stronger, and we'll still reach out to you as often as we can. Thank you so much, David, and your family. God bless you, and have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas together.
Merry Christmas to you and your family, Will. Thank you.
Thanks so much, David Uxellen, everybody. McCarter in English. Thank you, McCarter English, for allowing David to be on the show. All right, hey, listen, we're gonna take a break. We're a little bit over, 5 minute break, and then a little bit more news, and then we're gonna finish out the last podcast for 2024 with California liberal turned common sense conservative Natalie Beisner. Okay, hey, welcome back, everybody. Oh, yes, in case you missed the announcement earlier, this is the last podcast for the year. We are going to be taking a break, Christmas, New Year's. I'm going to pray a lot about the show. You know, we talked about changing the time. Not sure about that yet. We talked about maybe a little different format, upgrading the set. I mean, we talked about a lot of things, but the bottom line is we want to reach more people. We want to reach more of your friends, relatives, associates, and neighbors. And while we've had very steady growth from day one, we've been doing this for 5 months now. It's not the level that I wanted to see it. And so I just we've got to figure out what we need to do to grow the audience and faster than we have. So we're going to take the rest of the year off. It's only a couple weeks. Don't feel bad. Christmas, New Year's. I will be on WTIC radio a number of times between now and the end of the year. So I will post those dates on social media. So look at Facebook, look at X, look at Instagram, and I will post the dates that I'm going to be on WTIC if you care to listen. I'll be another 3 or 4 dates for the Holiday Store, which is a fundraising activity for the Salvation Army. It was on yesterday. I'll be on again, I think, next Thursday and Friday. I'm doing back-to-back days. Another one the following week just before Christmas. And then after Christmas, I'll be on the 27th, filling in for Tom Shattuck. And that'll be 11 to 2 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll talk to you about that. We won't forget about you. We'll keep communicating things. And any ideas that you want to send to me, you can email me at willmarotti@yahoo.com. You can certainly message me on social media. Love for that to happen. Well, Boeing's problems continue. The strike was over, of course. They laid off a bunch of people. And now Boeing jet deliveries fall to only 13 in November after the strike. And they've had a lot of cancellations as well. So they're struggling. Boeing is not out of the woods yet. And again, it makes sense that if you make planes that another one crashed, or door doors blow out of the fuselage, I mean, you can't have that stuff happening. And they've had a horrible company culture. They've had horrible quality control opportunity or lack of opportunities, and so they're struggling still. They booked 49 gross orders in November. They had 14 cancellations. They only delivered 13 planes, so not good for Boeing. Another story here as we're waiting for our lifelong liberal turned common sense conservative, Natalie J. Beisner. I think this is so true because I think it's true in all schools, but it's true in universities. And this is from Real Clear Education. It's a wing of Real Clear Politics. Uh, at Harvard, this just published a couple days ago. At Harvard, professors canceled their Wednesday class and made attendance optional, extended deadline dates. Others are making safe space for students. Well, because they're just struggling over post-election. They have post-election listening circles for their students. I mean, why are you babying these people? Come on, this is crazy. Georgetown created a self-care suite where students had the opportunity to go play with logos, color with crayons, drink milk, and eat cookies to deal with the stress of presidential. Are we dealing with nursery school students? These are young adults. This is not how you grow young adults to be successful older adults. Gosh. Yes, this irrational cuddling starts long before students enter university. It's true. Parents, this gentle parenting stuff does not work. And of course, I say that because I grew up in a time where when I messed up, I got clobbered. It wasn't abuse, but I mean, the worst thing in my life growing up was my mother said, "Wait till your father gets home," because we knew what that meant. Because that meant when Bill got home, the belt was coming off and somebody was getting a whack. Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm sure that didn't happen in Natalie J. Beisner's house when she was growing up, but we'll find out. Joining us now, lifelong liberal, and living still in Gavin Newsom's California, turned common sense conservative and person of faith. Our last guest for the podcast for 2024, Natalie J. Beisner. Hey, Natalie. Oh,
Oh,
we have a
I
volume
think I
issue.
just
Oh,
unmuted
we got it
myself.
now. Okay.
Okay.
We
Hi.
we fixed it. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I didn't realize I was the very last guest of the year.
Yeah. You have the honor of being the last guest for 2024. We're gonna shut down for a couple weeks, enjoy the holidays.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you a question. I don't know if you heard me say this, but when I got in trouble, I mean, my brothers and I got in trouble. Not so much my sister; she got a pass. But when my brothers and I got in trouble, and that was frequently, man, we got disciplined.
Mm.
We didn't get sent to a room to watch TV, drink milk, and eat cookies like they're doing at Harvard. We didn't get any of that. We got a stern talking to, and we maybe get sent to our room or not have a chance to have supper. But if it was bad enough, we got a little whack with the belt. I mean, I can feel it right now. But this is crazy. Georgetown created a self-care suite for opportunities to play with Legos and color. I mean, these are young adults, for God's sakes. What are we doing to these? This is not how you build a strong society now.
Is this because of the election or just because?
Yeah, to cope with the stress of the election. And this just
Yeah,
was
I
printed
don't.
2 days ago. This is just 2 days ago when this came out. I mean, gosh, I don't know
Yeah, I
what we're
would
trying to.
question sending your kids to college at this point. I'm a college graduate, but my feelings and thoughts on that have changed. It
Yeah.
seems like people are spending a lot of money and a lot of resources and a lot of time on something that is ultimately possibly harmful and not productive.
Well, and you look at this kid that murdered the United Healthcare CEO in New York City. I mean, this kid's a genius. I mean, top of his class, finding schools, and off the deep end. I mean, what? Apparently, somewhere along the line, he wasn't taught that there ultimately is a right and wrong. And when you murder people in cold blood, shooting them in the back twice, that is an absolute wrong. All right, that how did I'm
Yeah.
concerned still about our culture. I mean, it's
It's
just so
interesting
crazy.
when he said he mentioned lived experiences as they were pulling him into the jail or whatever it was,
Yeah,
into custody yesterday, which is
mhm,
kind of a tell that you've been on a college campus
yeah,
recently, or at least been around woke. But yeah, one of the things on the left that I noticed when I walked away was that they don't believe in they claim to not believe in objective reality and
yeah,
objective truth,
yeah.
because of course they often don't believe in God. But if they thought about it, they would realize that they do believe in objective truth, because there are things that they would condemn as evil and wrong and
Right,
racist,
right.
which means you believe that something is objectively wrong and something is objectively moral. But they'll argue that they don't, and they'll claim they don't. It's very odd, very
Well,
not self-aware.
I've got an op-ed from yesterday, and the title is "The Tolerant Quote Unquote The Tolerant Left Sure Does Like Assassinations." I mean, there were people cheering when they tried to kill Trump. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just I don't get that at all. I mean, as a Christian, we take no pleasure at all in the misfortune of anyone. We don't want anybody to be killed or their life snuffed out like that.
Right.
That's not true on the left. I mean, but you're right though. They have their own moral absolutes. They may not match with ours, but they do have moral absolutes. Hey, I want to talk about something I just figured out. I know I'm not the brightest kid on the block. I just figured out that you are now the social media director for Walkaway.
Yes.
Tell our folks if they because a lot of them don't know what is Walkaway, how did you get involved, and what does this position now entail that you're the social media director?
Yeah, Walkaway is the largest national organization for former Democrats, founded in 2018 by Brandon Strzok, who is also a J6 patriot, someone who's been persecuted over that.
Oh, really?
Still on probation,
Mhm.
although he did not go into the Capitol and
Good.
didn't partake in or even see any violence. He filmed an 8-minute video on the steps, and so that's still going on in at the end of 2024 for people who aren't aware. And we're not just for former Democrats, we also are really for anyone who walks with those who walk away. So people who were always maybe more conservative leaning or independent or whatever. And we have volunteers. We do outreach in all 50 states. And we also amass testimonials of people, their stories of being former liberals, former Democrats, and what was the moment that made them walk away. And yeah, I'm really glad to be part of this, because it was Brandon. Brandon made a video in 2018, and he recently made like a follow-up video 6 years later. And it was Brandon's original video. In 2018, I was still a Democrat, and I would be for a few more years, but it was Brandon's original video when I did start questioning my Democrat
Yeah.
affiliation that was part of what inspired me to start speaking about it online. Because it's one
Mhm.
thing to walk away, it's another thing to kind of speak up about it, whether you decide to go as far as I've gone or not, and whether you get a big account or not. It's still kind of scary to take that first step, and you don't
I
realize
bet.
how it's going to
Yeah.
turn out. So yeah, so I'm really glad to be part of this.
So
It's a
you think
great.
there's a Walkaway chapter in Connecticut?
There is a walkaway chapter in Connecticut. There's a chapter in every state. We're always looking for volunteers. We're looking for state chapter leaders as well. There's a walkaway Facebook group. I know a lot of people have left Facebook for different reasons, but
Yeah.
I highly recommend joining the group. The original group, unfortunately, was shut down without warning after January 6th, when it was at over 500,000 members. So
Gosh.
we're rebuilding now. It's not quite as large as it was before. It was shut down without warning overnight. There's also a Walkway social app. We're also on all of social media, and on YouTube, there's a playlist where you can just scroll through, hundreds of videos of people saying why they walked away.
So this would be a great resource for people that are kind of on the fence, Democrats that are, kind of questioning what's going on, and in their hearts they know that Democrats don't stand for necessarily democracy, as they like to say.
Right.
but might be a good resource for people that trying to make a decision like you did, right?
Yeah. And I
Mm.
watched a walkaway video yesterday and posted it, and the woman on it brought up a good point, which is that if you're questioning, they already don't like you. And that is true anecdotally. If you're even questioning, do I
Yeah,
align with some of this stuff? They already don't like you because you're not allowed to question really anything at all, even if you align on everything else. So that's an important point for people who might be wavering right now. You're already persona non grata. If you were to be honest
right,
about that online, you
right.
would receive a lot of pushback. So,
So I mean, it's so funny because really, it's Republicans that are accepting. It's Republicans that there's diversity within the party. I
mhm.
mean, everything that they attack Republicans on are things that they're doing.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
just crazy that it works out that way.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. Has anything? It's too early to tell, but do you think anything will change in California with the election of President Trump? Is Gavin Newsom going to start moderating his positions at all, or on homelessness, on illegal immigration? I mean, I'm waiting to see changes. You got Justin Trudeau coming to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring, and
Mhm.
the other world leaders are treating Trump like he's the second coming. Um, do you think that's going to spill into California at all?
I don't know. I have some hope that Gavin Newsom might moderate some of his positions because I do think he ultimately wants to be in the White House. And I don't think the way that California looks right now would be amenable to most of the country. I don't think you could win the White House with that. So I have some hope. But I don't know. We'll see. I think we spoke about last time, Donald Trump flipped like 10 counties in California. He made ground in California. Obviously, it went to Kamala Harris, but he made ground from what he had in
Sure.
2020. So I do think people are fed up, and ultimately, we'll see whether Gavin Newsom and whoever our next mayor is listens to that at all, or just continues, diving headlong into whatever they're going to do, which is, I guess, violate the federal government's orders about legal immigration and all of that.
Any of President Trump's picks or nominations for cabinet or secretary positions, anybody really stands out that you're in favor of? You say, yeah, that was a great one.
I think, well, so far I'm liking all of them. I saw that Harmeet Dillon was I won in the last couple days, which I think
Hmm.
is great. And I also appreciate the fact that I think, if I'm not mistaken, he himself went back on a nominee or someone who was wanting to nominate who was very hard on COVID, a sheriff, I think,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
had
right.
arrested
Sheriff
a
in Florida.
pastor
Yeah.
actually
Hmm.
over COVID orders, even though the pastor had tried to follow the rules in like remodeling his church or something like that. So it does seem like, I know there were concerns about Donald Trump and the people he surrounds himself with, and also his response to COVID. That was a big reason that a lot of people were hesitant to vote for him again.
Hmm.
But it does
Yeah.
seem like he's listening, because I think he posted on Truth Social himself that he, rescinded that appointment. So I like that as well. And so far, I've been happy with everything that I've seen.
Yeah, me too. What do you think about the case in New York City where with Daniel Penny, the Marine veteran who restrained the man on the train and then he died? I mean, I felt like that was a real victory for justice
Yes.
and liberty for the American people.
Yeah. I was so happy to see that when I woke up yesterday morning. I'm really grateful for it. And I even donated. I rarely ever do this, but I donated to his defense fund because it just
Wow.
meant that much to me. In California, in Los Angeles, it sounds kind of funny in retrospect, but I've been chased by homeless people. I mean, like at an all-out chase, running as fast as I can for my life. And on both
No.
occasions, no man stopped to help me. It was in the middle of the day, in broad daylight. I was just walking, minding my own business, and I understand, maybe not stopping to help a stranger. You don't know what the situation is. I do get it, especially in a place like Los Angeles and in our modern era, but it's really scary, especially as a woman, when you realize you don't have a weapon on you and you don't know what to do. And at the time, it was COVID too. So I couldn't just walk into a place. And it was one of the most scary times of my life. And so I don't think that a lot of people realize how quickly this stuff can go wrong and what are you supposed to do. And once he has someone in that chokehold, what do? Do you let him out so that he can be even more enraged? And then also there was a pathologist for the defense, I don't know if you know this, who did testify that it was not the chokehold that killed
we
Neely.
talked about that earlier. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Conflicting medical reports. I mean,
Right.
no, I mean, you got this murderer, this guy that they found the Hamburglar caught in a McDonald's in Pennsylvania. Here he kills this guy in cold blood. I mean, whatever. Healthcare is messed up. Yes, healthcare insurance is messed up. But really, you're going to kill a guy over it?
Right.
And he's got two young men, two boys, and there's people on the left cheering this.
Yeah.
And
that's
yet
not
they
going
want
to
to
do
take
anything. It's not going to change anything.
they want to take Daniel Penny and put him in jail for 15
Right.
years for a guy 30 years old, 40 arrests, drug addict, mental illness, threatening people. It
He
just doesn't
punched
make any
a
sense.
70-year-old woman in the face. He had at least three assaults against women. And it's a tragedy anytime. And that's why I don't applaud the death of the CEO, even as someone who comes from a family that can't afford healthcare a lot of times, because it's a tragedy anytime human life there's no value in the loss of human life, no matter whether I agree with them. And it's important that you are innocent until proven guilty. And obviously racism is not a crime, but the left just tries to connect racism where there is zero evidence of racism. And honestly, I think that, not to bring up something that is so contentious, but I think that's part of what was done in the George Floyd. I mean, Chauvin probably was not a good police officer, but I didn't see any evidence that he hated Black people. And then they like to make it, oh, well, there's implicit bias and you're racist without knowing that you're racist. And it's very damaging. I mean, where does Daniel Penny go to get his reputation back? I mean, and they just fling this accusation around any time that something unfortunate or even tragic happens to a Black person, especially when it's at the hands of a white person. And that's really not the way racism should go. You should need evidence that somebody is racist and that this was motivated by racism, and they don't have that, and they never have that.
Well, I mean, the loudest voice. There weren't that many protesters outside the courtroom for and we didn't see any cars being burned or police cars being flipped over. So I mean, there was that, but the loudest voice. I mean, it was Black Lives Matter, and if they haven't proven themselves to be a total sham, a total complete rip off to people who don't. I mean, I don't know why they even have a voice anymore. I don't think Black folks are listening to Black Lives Matter anymore.
Right. It seemed like mostly at the one of the protests or marches I saw was mostly white people in masks. So hopefully the Black people aren't listening.
White liberals. Well, Natalie, I appreciate you so much for coming on our show. You've been on a number of times first when it was just radio, now the podcast. I want to know, is there anything that our audience can be praying for you about coming into the new year? People probably don't ask you this a lot, but I just feel like we should support the folks that support us. What can our audience be praying for you for in 2025?
Well, thank you so much. I always love prayers. I would love prayers specifically for my dad, who is recovering from multiple strokes. And my parents, who are frequently just sometimes in an iffy health situation and an iffy financial situation, as a lot of people are. I wish that I could help them more. So I'll always take prayers for my mom and my dad.
Good. Okay. Hey, listen, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for being the last guest of 2024. So exciting. I know folks love you. I'm watching comments. Hey, if I don't see you or talk to you before, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And we'll hopefully get together soon after the new year. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Natalie Beisner, everybody. Thank you. All right. Hey, we are done. That's a wrap. We're going to go. DA, good job today. Thank you. AT's off. LJ, as always, crack researcher. We love your research. And we're not going to go away. We're going to come back, but we're going to take the rest of the year off. And we'll keep posting things on social media. So again, it's the channels you want to look at for what I'm going to post. It's either going to be, I'll post on all three of these: Facebook, Instagram, and X. If you're looking for comments about when I'm going to be on WTIC or what we're deciding about the show moving into 2025, I will post on those formats. And so just keep watching Will Marotti. That's all you need. Will Marotti on X, on Facebook, and on Instagram. And we'll keep you guys informed. Listen, thank you so much. You guys have been incredibly faithful. We do have a great audience, and we want to build it. We want to strengthen that, and we want to get it to more folks. And hopefully, we'll come up with some good ideas in the next couple weeks to do that. But if I don't see you, I'd love to see you on Christmas Eve at New Life Church. This might be my only opportunity to wish you Merry Christmas in person. So if you don't have plans for New Year's Eve, 3:00, Christmas Eve, 3:00, 4:30, New Life Church. The concert coming up this Sunday, Cloverton, is going to be a great Christmas celebration. Tickets are available online, and everything's available online. newlifechurchct.com. That's all we need. That's all the address you need, and you can find anything you want there. We love you guys. God bless you. We'll see you soon. Merry Christmas for those of you I don't see before Christmas. Have a wonderful New Year, and thanks again. We love you. God bless you.